If immigrants built America, why didn't they build up their homelands? Why come to a foreign land and build that up, but not fight to build up the land that you're from? That's the part that I'm really not understanding with a lot of y'all argument. It's not making sense to me. Why travel hundreds of thousands of miles to a foreign place and put all of this work into building something when you could just take that same work ethic and tenacity and build up the fucking land that your ancestors have walked? I'm not understanding that. Can somebody please break it down to me like a 3-year-old? And I don't want to hear, oh, it's not that easy and blah, 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 blah. Because Black Americans absolutely built this country. Was it easy? No. We have whole cities and shit underwater. Whole black ass cities underwater. Whole black ass cities bombed for no other reason than they were black ass cities. Getting chased and bitten and mutilated by dogs. There's literally a recipe book on how to cook and prepare a Black American. Strange fruit hanging from the trees was not just a fun song that was created. So was it easy? No. But did we do it? Absolutely. Nobody ever wants to give us credit for the things that we did and how you're able to come over here and benefit from the shit that we did. You don't want to be respectful to the people who built this country. You want to lie and say that we didn't build this country and that it was immigrants who built this country, which is fucking crazy. Half of y'all are not even aware that Black Indigenous people do exist. Half of y'all are not even aware of the history of the $5 Indian. Half of y'all are not even aware of the paper genocide and the reclassification of Black Americans. And it's always somebody who not from here trying to tell us who the fuck we are and what we did, which is absolutely crazy. Absolutely insane. Never could I ever go to Africa and try to tell them people who they are and where they come from. Never could I ever go to Asia or Europe and try to tell those people who they are and where they come from. How dare I think I know more than the people of that land? But for some reason, because Black American culture is so overly accessible to everybody, everybody thinks that they can speak on it. And that's just not the case. And y'all are learning with the FBA movement, which is not a group. It is a declaration of lineage. Y'all are learning with the Black Indigenous American movement, which is not a group, but a declaration of lineage. Okay? That we've been here. There were already millions of Black Indigenous people who were already here. What y'all don't know is our grandmothers been telling us who the fuck we was. Our great-grandmothers been telling us who the fuck we was. And I never understood why I've never encountered an African who has a story that was passed down of somebody being taken from Africa.
We're going to continue that video, but first let me just introduce myself. Do you see every single thing that this lady is literally breaking down? That is just the honest truth. Because at every point in time, especially when I hear some people, some ignorant people, that their head is no longer intact, saying that, oh, immigrants built America. Or I hear some Africans saying that, oh, you people are lazy. We come here, we work hard, we build. I ask the same question. Why can't you put those work? Why can't you put those strengths? Why can't you put those power in developing your own country, since it's all of that easy? You can see that what this guy is saying, what this Black American woman is saying, she is literally not far from the truth. But let's go ahead, let's continue to watch. Welcome back again to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share, and credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. For disclaimers, this is just for educational purpose, but this is this lady speaking facts and other clips that you guys are going to watch. With that being said, let's go ahead, let me continue rolling out the clip, and I'll come back with commentaries. Immigrants build this nation. I'm so damn tired of hearing those words. Let's go watch.
If we all were taken from Africa and put on these motherfucking boats, why don't none of y'all have no family stories that were passed down of some of your great grand relatives that were taken and kidnapped and put on these motherfucking boats and never to be seen again? That should be something that's passed down, because in our lineage and the Black American household, the stories of us being Indigenous American are absolutely passed down. Most of us still have the land that our family owned. Not to mention the census records that prove that we were documented as Indian and then reclassified as Negro. It's called paper genocide. When you get rid of a people through paper, through documentation. I'm sick of people speaking on Black Americans and y'all don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. And y'all think that y'all voices are supposed to be the loudest ones in the room, and y'all not even from here. Even if we go according to the slavery story, we still have hundreds of years here, more than anybody else. So don't come and fucking tell me about what my heritage and my lineage is. That's crazy as hell. And you wonder why we're delineating. You wonder why we're claiming all of our shit. Because y'all are disrespectful as fuck. Now all of a sudden R&B and country and all these things came from Africa. Are y'all fucking crazy? If R&B came from Africa, name me a popular R&B artist in African history at any point. Because if it started there, then it would have continued through the generation, correct? So show me some artist in Africa right now that is pushing R&B music the way that you hear it here. You're not going to. You're not going to, because it didn't start it. Name me a hip-hop artist that started in Africa that is famous and written down and passed through history to this day. You're not going to. Who is your African Michael Jackson? Who is your African Beyonce? Who is your African Boyz II Men? We can go on and on. Who is your African Whitney Houston? Who is your African Duke Ellington? Who is your African Nina Simone? We can go on and on. The disrespect has to stop. We know who the fuck we are. We know exactly who we are. And now y'all starting to learn who we are. All of this fear mongering now that ICE is outside. Oh, y'all gotta be careful because they may mistake you for an immigrant. Y'all gotta be careful because, they'll be coming after y'all next. Babe, ICE has been outside since 2003. They've never mistaken us for anybody who is not from here. And it hasn't happened at all. So what are we talking about? This year, especially this February, this Black History Month, a lot of y'all are going to be feeling real stupid. Should already be feeling stupid. But you're going to be feeling real stupid because there's a lot of shit coming out this year. Go look at the $5 Indians getting kicked off the reservations. Because now they're trying to say, oh, y'all pretendians. Y'all trying to claim to be Native Americans. No, baby, we're not claiming to be Native American. We're establishing to the world and letting the world know that we know who we are. Black Indigenous Americans. Our grandmamas been telling us who the fuck we are. Those stories been getting passed down through our bloodline. If your grandmama told you that you was Nigerian, don't you believe her? If your grandmama told you you was Italian, don't you believe that you Italian? So why when our grandmamas tell us who the fuck we are, all of a sudden we don't know and it's not accurate? Y'all are crazy. Put some respect on our name. And you're going to have to whether you like it or not.
This is a conversation about mindset. Keep that in mind. And I just want to put something on your plate, make you think a little bit. Put your dealings over your feelings on this one, right? Mindset, remember, that's the theme. How you look at the world, how you think, what you think about yourself. When I was 18 years old, that was my introduction to the Black conscious community. And I was introduced through literature from Malachi York. Was a very polarizing figure at that time. Had an interesting story. Do the knowledge on Malachi York, but then also do the knowledge on the movement of the Nuwaubian Nation at that time. So that was my intro. The book was called The Science of Creation. Blew my fucking mind. Sent me down a crazy rabbit hole. I was struggling with identity at that time. I didn't have the best family background. I was looking, I was searching. I was young, I was hungry for information. And you could have got me to do anything for where I would have crashed out, because I was searching for identity. And I was looking for identity in Blackness at that time. So what was popular at that time was information about Egypt, the pyramids, the pharaohs, the Medu Neter, everything about Egypt, Kemet, right? So I put my identity in that, and Egypt gave me a hell of an identity because I was like, yo, we built the pyramids, and I would go down rabbit holes, and a guy named Ashra Kwesi, he would do Egyptian tours, and he would break down the writings on the pyramid walls and how the Bible took a lot of the stories off the pyramid walls. I mean, it definitely did something to my imagination, and it gave me a sense of meaning. And I put my identity there, and I was like, yo, my bloodline, us, these lost tribes in America, we built that. I will argue with white people. I will argue with anybody that would want to debate about the pyramids. That's our story. We built that shit. So again, I'm searching for identity. Now, I don't know at the time that identity is really mindset, right? I didn't think that doing what I said that I would do for myself was an identity. I didn't think that my habits was an identity. I thought my identity was about a collective and other people, and W.E.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey and Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Maggie Walker and Mary Allen Pleasant. I thought that was my identity. Okay. I looked at the outside world and things that other did, other things humans have done. And I said, me, that's me. I did not understand what I was crashing out over when I was saying, my family built that. We built the pyramids. Feel me? And we could bang out over that shit. I was very passionate about that. I wanted to have some type of ownership and piece of Kemet, right? Well, that's going on right now with the FBA, immigrants, everything, right? It's this one thing about this shit, it just gets remixed, but it's the same thing. So the same thing that people, ADOS or ADOS or FBA, same thing. We built the country. And on the surface, it sounds innocent and harmless. But is it though? Because what are you actually saying, right? When you're like, yo, our family built the government buildings. Our family laid the railroad. We did all this shit. We did all the labor. But history does not record those that do the labor. It records the designers. So when I was in the Black conscious community, no one ever said we designed the pyramids. We were the architects, the mind of the infrastructure. We were raising our hands to be the workers, continuing a slave thinking, right? Labor, 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 my sweat, right? Because think about it. Egypt is a very hot place. So what comes to your mind when you think about somebody building the Sphinx and when you think about somebody building the pyramids? Unless they levitated the rocks, unless there was some type of technology we don't know about in terms of resonance where they was able to levitate the stones. If it ain't that, then people were working in that hot ass fucking sun for a very long time. Why would I raise my hand for that? Right? Why would I raise my hand for that? Raising your hands to be the labor is not the flex that you think it is. And it wasn't the flex then either, because this shit is about mind. Because after you're done building it and after I'm done building it, someone comes and moves us out the way and then writes their name on it. History never even talks about me and you. Labor is never remembered. Labor always gets the short end of the stick. The people that really benefit are the architects and the designers, the people that are using their mind. The people that are using their body always get forgotten, always gets the short end of the stick. So for me, in terms of mindset, when I hear an immigrant say, we built this country, I'm like, yeah, have it. You did. You sure did. You sure did. We designed it. You can have the labor, right? This is a mindset thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's shadow work too, because what is baked in us that always raises our hand to want to be recognized for the sweat. Like we want to always be recognized as the worker. I'm the worker. My family is the best workers. Yeah. Here you have it. All right. 100 years from now, no one never know you fucking existed. Right? And that person that is not even getting their hands dirty, that person that comes through, walking through this site smelling good and got the nice looking family and the nice car and the money and shit, they just come oversee the systems. Right? They work on the systems. But the labor, you give up your body for a long period of time till you're 65, now 70, and then you retire. Meanwhile, the designers are moving and shaking, living the dream because they created systems, right? When I was 18, I was in search of identity, and people are still doing this shit. Yo, your identity comes from you, right? Your identity is not your skin, yo. Your identity is not even people that came before you. Your identity is the shit that you wake up and do right now. Keeping a word to yourself. If you're a disciplined person, that's your identity. If you're a creative person, that's your identity, right? But I'll be damned if I continue to live my personal life to keep raising my hand to want an award for being a part of a group that carries the most fucking labor. While we're carrying labor, what are you doing? It's about systems thinking. And I feel for people because it's just the black conscious community is still alive and well. It's just remixed. Every generation, it changes into different talking points with different leaders and the same shit the young people doing, I was doing that too. And I was debating and I was just searching for identity and meaning, not knowing that the meaning is inside of you, right? If you're going to work on some shit that you design. Work on some shit that your mother and your father designed. And as you elevate from being a worker to becoming a designer, then you teach the people under you how to also design. Design what? Systems, right? And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, and I know about this identity shit, ancestry and all that. Being the laborers, not the flex that we've been trained to think. It's designers that are remembered, not the labor. The labor is never compensated. It's about mindset. Be careful what you raise your hand for.
Shabuzi said was
You're an immigrant. The immigrant population is not strong enough to sustain America. And you constantly fighting to gaslight Black Americans and trying to undermine is exactly why we are treating you guys the way that you are. Because you're constantly trying to fight for a space that you cannot simply fucking fill. So whatever happens to you guys at this point in time, it's well deserved. You came to an already made bed. Civil rights were already fought for. Human rights were already fought for. The infrastructures were already in place. You came to an already comfortable bed. You're helping to maintain, but you don't have what it takes to be the foundation of fucking America. Go back home and watch America still stand. Exactly.
It's Black History Month, and understanding all the turbulence and all of the social just devastation happening in the US right now, there's an ongoing conversation about immigrants building America. You can go to many cities and many states in America and you will find great immigrant contribution. Immigrant contribution so important that it added to the social aspects of these locations. Haitians in Chicago, right? Nigerians in Texas, Chinese people in California, many more. Caribbeans in New York, for example. And it's true. These things are true. Immigrants have showed up in different corners of America. They've done their thing. Immigrants contribute greatly to the social understanding of what America is, especially by region. But there isn't a square inch, a mere foot, a pile of sand or dirt in America that you'll put your foot on that has not been modified by the bloodshed, hard work, and torture of Indigenous and African Americans. Once again, while you can go to some places and find great immigrant contribution, Latin people in Miami, yes, you will always, no matter where you go in America, you will always step on the blood and hard work of African Americans and Indigenous people, because they are the ones who built this country through sheer pain and slavery. The infrastructure of the U.S. is on their backs. And while the work of immigrants is not dismissed, immigrants contributed on top of that, not from that. I'm not even sure why this is a conversation. Yes, immigrants are important to America. Immigrants are important, period. But immigrants didn't build America. Immigrants added on to something that was already being built non-consensually, obviously, the enslavement of these people.
You see how now, like, Americans are arguing with people, and people who are Spanish speaking are in the comments and they're arguing and they're trying to say, but we're Americans too, and people are going back and forth. Is that unity? What people need to understand is that a lot of immigrants, they say they're American on paper, but culturally they know they're not. Culturally, I can't tell you how many people I know who were born and raised in Brooklyn, but if you ask them where they're from, they'll say Barbados, Jamaica. People in my life that I know who were born as American citizens, who have immigrant parents, when you spend a lot of time in immigrant communities or live in places where a lot of immigrants exist, we all know this already. They don't share the same culture. They're Americans on paper, but culturally, no, they're not. This goes for Black people, Hispanic people. It doesn't matter. I have seen it across the board. How many immigrant parents tell their kids, when you go to America, don't mix with those people. Go, make your money, extract, send it back home. How many? So you see how we're having this conversation right now and we're talking about all the things that divide us? That's why, because multiculturalism does not create a space for unity. It becomes rival tribal clans all over again. Now, instead of us talking about, wow, that made us all proud to be Americans last night, you know what the conversation online is? You guys disrespected us by making that show in Spanish. No, we didn't. We're Americans too. You guys are racist. No, we're not. And now you've got Black Americans saying, wait a minute, you guys are flooding the zone. You're trying to erase us because we didn't understand. Oh, but you guys are people of color. You see, they use words like racism to make Americans, they make white Americans have white guilt. They make Black Americans feel like they don't have a culture. And if they don't side with whatever cause other people of color have going on, they are just shucking for the white man and they too are sellouts. This is an attempt to erase American culture. It's an attempt to act as if we don't have one in the first place. And as I said before, this is what people think of us. There are a select group of immigrants who come here, they appreciate us, they respect Americans, and they have a gratitude for what we fought for to be a beacon of light to the rest of the world. To act as if actual Americans did not lose their lives and toil for centuries for this country to be a place where everybody around the world wants to come to experience real freedom, because they don't have that in their other countries. They don't have the same opportunities. It's a slap in the face to not acknowledge us and to tell us that if we have a problem with something that you're doing, you're going to tell us to get over it and learn the language of your native country. So if white Americans keep subscribing to white guilt for something that they didn't participate in, if they don't push back and say the majority of us fought for civil rights, the majority of us, our ancestors fought, a lot of our ancestors fought in the Civil War to end slavery. If you don't start as Black Americans saying, wait a minute, we have a hugely rich history in this country that we created on our own out of adversity, and we have a very triumphant story as Americans, Black and white and otherwise, and you let people tell you they built your country, you're going to speak their language. If you say something about it, you're racist. They're American too on paper. When you're someone like me who has spent a lot of time with people who are immigrants or the children of immigrants, no one can fool me with this mumbo jumbo about, oh, you're racist if you think this way. I have coexisted in these spaces. The majority of these people want nothing to do with Americans. They do not care. This is why when I first arrived in Brooklyn, everybody had every single flag of Latin America, of the Caribbean on their homes. No American flags. This is why when you hang an American flag, you're told you're racist. Go back and watch Don Lemon's video when he was about to do the protest into the church. What did he say? He said, oh, I see an American flag over there. That's very MAGA coded. They want you to associate American pride with racism. All while telling you, if you say speak English, it's racist, but they'll tell you speak Spanish in a heartbeat. What is Spanish? Is Spanish the native language of people in the Americas, or is that the language of the European colonizer? See, when you start asking these questions, the argument falls into ashes. If I say speak English, I will be called a racist. But I can tell you right now, look in the comments of all these discussions that are happening online and the Spanish speaker saying you need to speak Spanish. I saw somebody tell a Black American woman she needs to learn Spanish today. Are you colonizing? How do you think you start speaking Spanish? Why do you think your relatives speak Spanish? So it's not racist for you to impose the Spaniards' language onto us, but if we impose the Englishman's language on you, we're racist. It makes absolutely no sense. So everybody else is allowed to have pride, but not Americans, without us being called racist. Do you see how that works? You won't fool me with it. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen.
Before the transatlantic slave trade began in the 1500s, there is a reliable historical evidence that there was a large established population of Sub-Saharan Black indigenous people in North America. Who were the indigenous people of America? Before Europeans arrived, North America was populated by Native Americans / indigenous people. Ancestors who migrated from Asia via the Bering Land Bridge over 15,000 years ago. Civilizations like Mississippians culture, Polbo people, and the Europeans. I don't know if I'm not pronouncing very well. Genetic evidence strongly connects indigenous Americans to ancient Asian population, not West African population. Were there Africans in the America before slavery? There are few theories that are real possible. Documented early African presence after Columbus. That means Africans were present after Columbus, which is after the slave trade must have. Some Africans came with Spanish and Portuguese explorer in the 1500s. For example, the Moroccan explorer travelers in the North America in the 1500s. Now, claim about Black Indigenous American. Some modern movement Africans were already in America even before Columbus. Native Americans were originally blacks. Slavery narrative replaced original Black American identity. Oh my God. DNA evidence did not show whispered African ancestors in ancient Native American. Indigenous groups themselves maintain distinct identity and histories. Why this idea exists? This idea often comes from identity search among descendants of the enslaved American, frustration over erased African tribal origin, 1800s racial classification that labels some native groups as black, misinterpretation of early European description. There were also black smuggling escaped slaves who joined native tribes in Florida, mixed community of Africans and Native American. But that was after slavery began. Genetic evidence. Modern African Americans mostly descend from the West and Central Africa, often have some European ancestries, sometimes have small percentage of Native American history, but not the other way around in ancient DNA samples. Indigenous Americans were in North America thousands of years, even before African slave trade. Africans arrived primarily through the transatlantic slave trade starting in the 1500s. There is no credible evidence of a large African American civilization before the Native Americans. This is why I keep saying it, and I'll continue to say it. If you do not know the history of Black Americans, try your possible best to do your research. Try your possible best to understand where Black Americans are coming from. Try your possible best to know the histories of Black Americans before you come say anything you want to say. Before the enslaved or the descendant of slave, or before anything slave trade begins in the 1500s, we have indigenous Black Americans. We have people that have been in America. And it is okay for you to understand that these Black indigenous people did not come from slavery. Every time I keep hearing, immigrants built America. Immigrants built America. Immigrants did this in America. The Black indigenous people are lazy. In fact, they should be identifying themselves as African America. Is it every single Black Americans that came from slave trade? Is it every single Black American that should identify themselves as African American? For those ones that have the descendants of the slave trade, if you choose to identify yourself as African American, it's fine. But for the indigenous one, the Native American, the ones that owns the land, the one that built America, they choose to call yourself foundational Black Americans. So can we just rest with all of this immigrants built, immigrants not built? Put your strength. If you know you're too good in building another man's country, build your own country. Put your strength if you know you're too good in investing in another man's country. Invest in your own country. Put your strength if you know that American has taken every single thing for you. Because I see people that will be like, American has stripped me of every single thing. We have suffered. We have done. Put that strength in doing that for your own. Will it be bad? It will definitely not be bad. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments, and lastly, do not forget to share. And disclaimers, this is just for educational purposes only, not to come here, ruffle on anyone's shoulders or make anyone feel uncomfortable. And thank you so much for staying stick and hook with me to the end of this video. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. With no further ado, I'd like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying that, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.